GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand, presents the Galatta Plus Mega Pan India Producers Roundtable 2024, powered by Q&Q Pharmacy, quality healthcare at affordable price. Associate sponsors: Darling 2025 New Year deals, latest smartphones at lowest EMI, and Jensen & Nicholson Paints, Italian designer finishes by Jensen & Nicholson Paints, and location courtesy Mahati Wellness Center, Bandra, Mumbai. You had a point about theatres.
Because I run theatres, right, and it has become an expensive proposition, right? So when you are asking audiences to come to theatres to watch, to take the whole temple, God, whatever the analogy is, they are going to put in their hard-earned money and they're going to spend 3 to 3.5 hours of their time watching a film, right? And even for theatres to sort of give showcasing, if we don't get about 35 audiences, it doesn't make any sense, number of people to watch a show, it doesn't make any sense for us to even run it, because you can't pay the electricity bill. Leave the manpower cost or anything else, you just can't pay the electricity bill. So there is a challenge as well, because everything has gotten expensive. So for audiences to come into theatres, they have to decide, you know, if a family of 4 comes in, minimum spend in the south is 1,000, north is much more. So if they have to take that, and that's a good amount of money for any family to be able to spend.
So even in South, you know, when the superstar films releases, or whether it's Tamil cinema or Telugu cinema, the ticket rates on the first 2-3 days, couple of days, especially the first day, they go into thousands. And still you have people, you know, I have seen, you know, when I first saw Ajit film releasing, it released at, I think, 1 a.m. in the morning after the previous film. And I was shocked, there were almost about 20-25,000 people outside the theatre. And after I came out from the show which I saw, which was at 1 a.m., it ended around 3:34. There was still about 20-25,000 people to get in. And the same thing happened later, and I'm told the same thing happens with the Rajinikanth film, the same thing happens with a Chiranjeev film. Now the present day stars, whether it is Junior NTR, whether it is Charan Raj, whether it is Mahesh Babu, same thing happens. There are ticket rates which are inflated for the first 2 days or first day for extra shows, which is why today this situation has arisen where unnecessarily Allu Arjun was dragged and was blamed for a death of it was only because of the kind of crowd which had gathered to see the film.
So the early morning shows are for big stars. You name like a, you know, Rajni sir, Vijay sir, Ajit sir. That is part of the culture that is there. And you're talking about a fan base which is willing to pay that much. But I'm talking about family audiences. A success of a film is only derived when the families come in. The first 2 days, 3-day opening, you will not make your money, because you're anyway paying for the star to get that opening, right?
So the honest fact is the exhibitors, you know, they swallow most of the money. They tell
not at all, not anymore.
I'm not talking about you.
No, I'm telling you, because
you see,
now he's looking at you as a producer, not as an exhibitor.
there is no way you can keep a check, because you see, it is the manager who goes up to the terrace and sees what kind of response the film has.
Now with Tamil Nadu, we don't have early morning shows. We only have a 9 a.m. show. So that craziness,
it becomes an exhibitor panel. But there's another film that, you know, we must also talk about.
One more film I want to talk about. You know, when it released, it didn't get shows. It failed miserably. Laila Majnu of Imtiaz Ali. It re-released now, which is why the re-release of old film has started. Laila Majnu. In the first release, it had not even done business of 8-9 crores. And in the re-release, it has collected 30 crores.
No, that is because of Tripti Dimbi, sir. Because that came out after Animal.
No.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
That's why, no. So I want to ask you this, right? So there is this discussion.
No, same thing. What he's now saying is, based on recall value, immediate craze,
100%.
he made a film called DJ Tillu, which was super hit. And then he made it, which he said it didn't do the business it could have. The sequel smashed it, okay? Which brings us to where the whole world is. Hollywood was there for 15 years with Marvel, DC and the franchise. I think the franchise today is the thing of recall value, just like cash point. Yeah. That's something that they are specialists at. That I would love to hear from them.
Right, and so always the case in Hollywood.
Today it's become here, na? Part 2, Part 3.
When you're talking about, see, the discussion has been about, let's forget the money, let's just talk about good films
We
and bad
producers
films.
only talk about
But
money.
you can't
Right,
forget
right.
about
No, 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 no.
the
No, as in, no.
There's
One
nothing
second.
to
why-
Right.
Forget
Okay. So
about
maybe I'm paraphrasing, but let's listen. So let's not talk about the money. Let's talk about whether it's a good film or a bad film. So that's, that's part of what happened, right? But in first of all, I'm a little confused about, because I think good films, bad films, those are subjective criteria. So I'm not
Yes.
really I find it a little difficult to say good films run, bad films don't run, whatever it is. It's more like what films are
See,
accepted.
Nobody
but,
can decide which film is good, which film is
right.
bad.
But what I want to ask you is, the reason I'm talking about the change of model is because, see, at one point in the Telugu film industry, a Shankarabharanam was a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Like if you do an adjustment of thing, it would probably be 500 crores today. Right?
Shankarabharanam ran for 1 year. She's saying people are thinking twice about coming to the theatre and spending that kind of money for that kind of film in the first 2 weeks.
Hey,
Correct?
But
So
first
let
of
me-
all, also number of screens have increased, guys. So there is no concept of 100 days.
No. So I'm talking about
200 days
the
and all that.
kind of film being made, right?
Yeah.
So we are again talking about Sagara Sangamam, same director. We're talking about, there are different. Of course, maybe when a Chiranjeevi tried to do an offbeat role or something like Aapat Bandhavulu or something like that, maybe that might not have. Like done too well, but the point is, when certain directors attempted certain subjects, they did really well, because there's a huge family audience, right? That family audience has now kind of really gone down, is what I hear.
No.
But when you are from the Telugu film industry, given the fact that you make the most event films and the most talked about event films in India today, what is your take on this situation?
We'll have a second thought whether to make it or not. Then it will depend on the OTT thing, how much we're getting out from the OTT, so that we'll have a lesser risk on the theatres and all. So when these kind of calculations come, we think twice to make good films again. We only think to make films which make money.
That's so
see,
honest.
The commercial aspect comes.
Yeah, definitely, right?
Fair enough.
But again, this is also a subjective individual opinion.
No,
right?
no,
But
Yes,
no,
yes.
no, but
That is
See,
that
when
is something which
Archanaji
has
said
always
that
happened.
theatres have to be filled, that is the main criteria for us. The theatres have to be filled.
no, fair enough. Yeah. No, I
See, when Ashwini Dutt and Nag Ashwin made this comedy film with newcomers,
Jatiratnalu, yes.
he probably made more money in that film than he has ever made. I mean, of course, before Kalki.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Yep.
similarly, you see, in Hindi, although there are several instances
Like today.
where films with no star cast have done phenomenal business. For instance, you see, when Rajkumar Rao became a known face, it was with films which never had that kind of budget or that kind of push. There are so many actors. I distributed Sparsh, which ran for 25 weeks on merit in Bombay. On merit. Nobody was ready to touch that film.
This is Nasiruddin
Nasir
Shah.
Shah playing a
Nasir and
visually
Shabba.
impaired
So I
person.
distributed the film all India. And I covered the money only by overseas sales. And it ran in Bombay for 25 weeks. But it didn't collect 100 crore. It was a successful film. ROI was...
ROI, that's what we mentioned that earlier.
See, people, this is something, it's a kind of a business where you've got to keep commerce in mind too and keep creativity in mind too. There's got to be a good balance.
Right.
You just don't have to, go after commercial aspects.
The concept of a limited release that exists in Hollywood is a systemated concept.
right.
It
But
doesn't
you're-
exist here. The
No,
way
no,
it does.
it
So in
did.
different industrial rules are in my
No. I'll just tell you. This Rashtriya picture, Dulan Wahi Jo Piya Man Bhai.
No, I'm talking about currently. So today, I'm not talking about ever in history. I was just saying that today, every
You see, that
week,
release in one
the
theatre.
producer's share becomes less and less as the film stays in theaters. That's the general model, right?
Right.
So in a limited release, if it's the same thing, by the time the film gets word of mouth and sustains, even if it's in minimal number of screens, what comes back to the producer as an ROI keeps diminishing week after week. So if at all anything, if there's a way to make that kind of select niche model for independent films to go to the cinema, so that they don't have to, you can't have competition between
Right.
completely different,
I-
unequal
Right, but
categories.
that is also, even in the US, that happens only for a certain kind of film, where because like you
Now, I'll
said,
give you an example.
And I think
Johnny
those
Depp
films
came
are
from
funded.
Pirates of the Caribbean. His next film after that was Rum Diaries, which was a 100-screen release.
Right.
So a top star like him
No,
coming
again,
off
but
the biggest
now,
Bruckheimer film to that.
Again, coming back to the present, when you look at it, it's only a Sean Baker's or movies like that, that kind of, which are, I don't know how, just to clarify, randomly I'm just saying, maybe award kind of films or whatever it is, which are seen by a good number of people, but not like huge masses, right? Those get slow thing and grow by word of mouth. But even today, the US is facing a problem. But did you finish the point that you were making about, you know, how the money is important and
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was telling you. We make money so that we get back our investment, whatever we invest. So, but films like Jersey give you a lot of satisfaction, like Lucky Bhaskar. See, I'm in Bombay. Boni sir, when I said that I made Lucky Bhaskar, he said, he wanted to watch it. These kind of films give us different kind of satisfaction. But see, when you weigh them, money is more important for us.
I think
No, I
taking
would
from
just want-
his,
yeah,
sorry,
please,
please.
you go ahead.
No, I mean, I think there was something very honest in what he said. You know, eventually, as we're talking
We
here.
all are being honest.
No, I know. I mean,
We are not
no,
concocting stories. What he's
No, I'm just saying.
spoken about,
No,
we
they-
all have
no,
spoken
no,
is,
he has, but
is
what-
with
what-
all honesty.
No, absolutely. No, I'm just saying.
And you
what
can
he-
check the figures.
No. I have no doubt about it. What I'm saying is he brought out a point which is a very important point for this discussion because we're representing the producers part of it. And the point that he said is they tried making 2 films. But at the end of it, the business matters. So now they've decided, okay, you know, since the business matters, let's go into the event kind of films. Now coming back to the questions what we are talking about is, so he said now he'll go only for the, I mean, he'll prefer the event films because it recovers money, and as a producer, you're not making it, we can make a DVD and show it at home or to our friends. We meant to recover the cost. That's when it's successful.
especially when you want to show it only in 3D like Barroz?
Yeah, even if it's a 2 crore movie, you have to recover cost to be successful. It is important that you recover
See,
cost.
today,
So I just want to finish this point. So his point is, so what's the way forward? Like we have this and we have this. What is the way forward? I'm going to come back to Archana, okay, is really about the exhibitor. Right? Now we have to look at it from the exhibitor's point. I mean, they are also a business entity. They need to recover. Everybody is here is a business entity. Everybody has to recover cost. So how do we help? How does that work? Because the issue right now we have to agree is you cannot get shows.
No,
That's
what
a
I'm
fact.
saying.
So now coming to your point, shows, would it be so difficult? See, a small film will get a morning show or an afternoon show, or very difficult to get a properly done evening show. And if you take Bonnieji's point that, you know, entertainment is not going to go out of this. People want to go to the theatre. If you put a lovely film in a good show,
It
okay,
doesn't work.
No, I mean, see,
It doesn't work.
Not
I'm
always.
sorry to say, I've been
I mean,
doing this for 18 years.
I mean,
I've been running this business
see,
for 18 years.
sometimes, look, and then
Doesn't
comes the
work.
marketing. Now comes the marketing. For example, today, if the exhibitor has started charging for the trailering, has started charging for standee, and yet they are having half of the business going to them. I don't understand. Like, I have always a fight with the exhibitor saying, excuse me, there's a 50-50 sharing. You can't now I have to pay for a trailering and to put my standee, and you walk away with the business. There is no marketing. So the small producer, what does he do? It has to come to a point where there is some
this
kind of
way-
a
But if I were to
playing
be really brutal,
Yeah.
you know, and consider,
Exhibitor.
yeah, see, so I,
Which
you
hat
should,
are
you
you
should
wearing?
not have
First you
said this, you
decide.
know, but to,
I mean, I didn't mean to. I'm just
No,
She
no,
wears
no.
all the hats. No, this is
I'm
a
all
producer,
three.
distributor,
I'm-
exhibitor panel. She'll be alone
I'm-
because she does all
yeah.
three.
No, but okay, I'm going to come back to her, but I want to talk to Dawn. See, now the thing you brought up, Payal Kapadia's film, right? Now that is an international co-production. Now even there, it's difficult to put across these films together because they get some funds from the Netherlands, something from France, something from somewhere, something from a little bit from India. So I don't even know if we can call that an Indian film technically, because it's like many co-productions. They are like
Like a
throughout the
pan-global
world.
film.
Pan-global film. Now, when you make your film, is that a way out for you? Are you planning to, with Artisan Films, how are you planning to bring the funds for your film?
That's one of the possibilities. But the problem with that is that it takes a long time to start a film. If you have the script ready, from that stage onwards, like to acquire those funds from foreign bodies, it's a tedious process and it takes a long time. But I can talk about my experience in Kerala. In a year there are like 200 films being made, and on a Indian scale it may be a small number, but for me, I still consider
It's
it as
no more a small number.
yeah, it's a big number, right? So that means that so many people are investing money, and most of those films are not a commercial hit. Most of, like, more than 90% of those films, from what I heard recently from some producer friends, that more than 90% of those films don't make money back. So but if that is the reality, it is not even 50-50. It's like 90 versus 10 is what. So if that is the reality, if you can bring down the expense and still make good films, that is where I am betting it. I am not looking at box office hit at all. Like, that's a myth. I am not chasing that. I don't want to chase that. But for me, what I am looking for is what I, subjectively what I call is a good film, and that is only what we can produce.
So you're looking at, I need X amount of money to make a movie. If I get that, that's what I need.
Yeah.
It's kind of a,
Yeah.
but then where does the business model come in? Because
See, I am not a business.
Exactly. That's what. Can I just ask Vamsi also one thing?
Yeah.
Because Vamsi, we're on a panel where Vamsi said that the film that makes the most money is my biggest success. Correct? And that's what she said is a very honest perspective.
I
that
really
he's
like his
coming.
honesty, actually.
He came at it and said, for me, the one that makes the biggest money is the biggest success.
Right.
That's his motto in life. That's his raison d'etre for a production company. His is different, his is different, his is different, right? The creative producer, the word that Bonisa loves to use. The creative producer is the person who, let's say, he has a musical score for a film which he doesn't like. Now, if he changes the musical score, it will cost this much money. He will miss his release date that he has promised. And if he still goes ahead and does it, Vamsi will not do it. Because Vamsi has already said the best case that he will work towards is to maximize his success profit ratio, correct? So if the date has to be met, the date has to be met. He won't push the film by 6 months to qualitatively, subjectively improve the score. Correct, Babu?
I think he will.
No, I'm
sometimes
saying
we have to.
that is a small adjustment. I'm saying Boni sir has made a film
Actually, I
across
have a-
years.
I have a track record of not
Compromises
meeting the
film,
release.
right? If-
Compromise
because
against
No,
subjective
because
word, no?
sometimes after making the film and we see it, in the edit, it is crap. Right?
Subjective
And then
crap
you
is
can't
not.
put our brand and release that movie. Then we are all forced to move it.
But that's a money call.
I think the
That's
criteria
a-
would be different.
Correct.
See, but I just want to again, sorry, I'm coming back to the theatres because I feel somewhere as producers,
So
we
now
have to
you're
respect
talking about
the
the
audience.
exhibit a panel.
No, we
I'm
have
sure
to
you're
respect
digging a hole for yourself.
No, we have to
because everybody's
respect
going to
the
attack you.
audience. No,
Yeah.
I'm telling you that
Right.
because we have to respect the audience. If we are going to take their money and ask them to come to the theatres, we have to show them what they like. Okay, and I don't believe that small films don't run. I started my career where I opened my theatre with two films. One was Ravan and one was Kalavani. Okay, Ravan had a phenomenal opening, but the movie's report was mixed. Okay, and it was an MG. Kalavani was again a small producer, new hero, new star cast, very, very small film. And it was a multiplex. I gave them one small screen, and that movie went on to actually help me pay the MG for the big film.
Look at that.
So it is not that small films don't work and audiences don't come. It is just that because I really feel, and I watch all my films only in theatres, the taste and moods keep changing, the trends keep changing.
You made a lot of money
So-
with the Love Today. small
Yes, we
film.
made a lot of money with Love
No, I
Today,
think there are
without
two
a
types of
hero.
small
No,
films.
no,
One is I
one-
don't I see what the kind of, I hate to use this word, but small budgeted maybe films that he makes is not the Kalavani, which is still an enjoyable for a mainstream audience. This is a more rigorous art house kind of film. So that's why I was asking him
For
that
that,
question.
we don't have an industry that supports it.
No, see,
Yeah, I think
let me
so.
That is
just
the
put
truth.
That's the truth.
my point on this. See, for instance, these so-called small budgeted films which are rich in content. Now, for instance, Lapata Ladies may have collected just about 17-18 crores, but the main revenue came from the OTT platform and the kind of value it will get in overseas, after getting the awards. Similarly, its 12th Fail. That film did a business of about 70-80 crores, which was absolutely phenomenal for a Vikrant Massey film. He was not a so-called mainstream actor. And at the same time, he had not sold the film. He had that confidence that he released the film all India on his own. He gave it for just distribution on whatever commission he had to pay. But today, he is planning to release the making of 12th Fail in cinema halls.
He's released it today, I think.
I don't know if it is released, but
Zero se restart, no? That's
I don't know. I don't know. But I was told that he's planning to release the making of that film in theaters.
Right.
Now, how many shows he gets, I don't know. But this, like Lagan, when it released, he, video play was a big,
Right.
video was just, growing rapidly. So he released the film on video, and after say about 7, 8, 10 years, he released the making of Lagan again.
Right.
And that also fetched him a very good price. So there are, new verticals which open up, and for small films which don't get a proper theatrical release, if they are appreciated, there are these verticals which will, cover their cost and give them profit too.
Right.
Like Payal Kapadia, if she definitely has reason to talk of all what she is, that she didn't get a proper release thanks to the big films or whatever the showcasing was. But I'm sure with the kind of awareness that film has created, there will be ample of revenue from these other verticals, which will make up the cost of the film and
But
maybe
Payal's
give a
is
profit.
not against other big films. Payal's was her film getting, you put it on a ticket window, nobody came to buy the ticket, is not another film's
Yeah,
problem.
but that's not the fault of the exhibitor.
That's not the fault of the exhibitor either. That's just the, she's
Don't
saying
look
what
at
people
her.
choose. No, exactly. I only exhibitor reference.
She's a nice person, actually.
Yeah, she's a friend of ours, yes. So, yeah.
No, so just to kind of wrap up, because I wanna ask you, given the fact that the initial thrust for this, see, when I say pan India, I don't necessarily mean, like he said earlier, when a film worked in Tamil, it would get remade in Telugu, Hindi, or a film worked in Hindi, it would get remade in Telugu, Tamil. So in a way, movies were pan India like that, but they were restricted to their own. The person in let's say in Andhra Pradesh did not know about the Hindi version. But today two things for me define a pan India film. One is it is dubbed in many languages, so simultaneously goes into like multiple languages as an initial release. That's
No,
one
if you
thing.
see all the languages on the poster, doesn't mean it's a pan-Indian film.
No, plus
They're just putting it to project it like a pan-Indian film. But all those films who have all the languages on the poster doesn't mean it's a pan-Indian film. But some films have that kind of a thing that they'll work in Hindi also.
So what is what do you think today, given the fact that like from a pure producer point of view, if you want to make this 1,000 crore film or whatever it is, what is the model?
He's making enough money making small films, other films that he's making.
Okay, so you're not interested.
In fact,
okay,
I
cool.
need to rub his hand to see that I also make money in
Yes.
film that I'm making.
So everybody in their life want to make a big event film like Kalki, Pushpa 2 and everything. So are the film making good money?
No, he doesn't want to.
No, I don't.
No, like us, at least.
Correct.
Like me, Archana ji, we definitely want to make event films only.
I
That's how whole of India will know what we are doing.
I think you
No,
should
Boni sir knew that Lucky Bhaskar was a good film, but he didn't know who made it. No, but Pushpa 2, he knows that who's the producer, who's the director of the film. We always want to make event films where everybody will know us. That these are the guys who made Pushpa 2, these are the guys who made Kalki, these are guys who made Triple R.
That literally seduces the audiences to the theatres.
Yes,
if
sir.
the filmmaker is known. For instance, see, in my opinion, Satyam Shivam Sundaram was not Raj Kapoor's best film, but yet the distributors made money on that film. So that is the goodwill of the filmmaker.
Yeah,
Now
definitely.
that could last for one film, that could last for two films. Like Manmohan Desai, he made a spate of hits. Ganga Jamna Saraswati was not a good film, but still it covered money where the distributors are concerned. So this is the
So that's what I'm saying, sir. That is the
goodwill which
goodwill
a
we kind
filmmaker-
of try to develop in South. So that's why we make films like Jersey and Lucky Bhaskar also, so that both the OTT platforms and the theatres believe us. When we make films like Jersey, Lucky Bhaskar and stuff, the audience or the OTT people or the multiplex, all the overseas audience believe that, oh, these guys can make good films also. I mean good content films also. When we make commercial films like Tillu Square, Guntur Karam, these stuff, all the theatres like Archana ji will be happy if Tillu Square releases in that, because it will run for more days, more shows, more audience. That is more important. So we need to balance it out like that.
Boni sir, the Satyam Shivam Sundaram time that sir is talking about, those 4 decades had a properly concrete movement called parallel cinema in India.
Yeah.
Today the question that they're asking, they're saying there's no place in the cinema for anything other than the studio film, the big ticket film, right? So then you have to find an avenue where people like the other side can go and say, yeah, this is where I found my success. So let's say that's OTT. Who's dominating OTT sales and purchases?
The big ones.
Right.
So content is king, good film is not the right way to
but
think.
that
then,
the parallel cinema that you were talking about is also the parallel cinema that you were talking about is also funded by the government. So there was
Partly,
Film
yes.
Federation of India,
Yes,
then
yes,
NFDC.
yes.
So that was
So again,
government-
some affirmative action was
never
taken.
funded. It's only NFDC.
NFDC.
NFDC
So
would give. So
NFDC
there was
gave
affirmative action
the
in favor of
favor
good
thing,
content
but now that
films.
was gone.
So when Satyajit Ray's films released, there was queues of people standing outside the theatre screening it in a film festival in France or in Italy.
Right.
In India, nobody went to throng theatres to watch, just like Kurosawa in Japan. They were not box office directors. So where is the space today? Will it be made by OTT or the government or by kind-hearted people who won't go to theatre but will encourage the film somewhere else?
But at the same time, so that, there are
No, the summary I was saying is not all big films deserve to be given this. People want to see you, so we will stage you. Not all small films are going to disappoint you by saying people will not watch. Because it's very subjective. Every individual producer's story is different. Vamsi's every individual film is his whole
Is a story.
reset and start from scratch. Same for a self-funded producer. Same for a person looking for funding. Same for an exhibitor, distributor, producer.
But there is one more vertical which has come up now.
So,
There are countries, there are states who offer subsidy. There are producers now aiming to only make money from subsidies. So this was never there earlier.
so shoot subsidies or release subsidies?
No, for instance, UK has a 40% subsidy.
Correct, shoot subsidy.
You shoot a film out there and whatever you spend. Like in India today too, there are states who are giving us, there are incentives so that their states could be promoted. Like in Switzerland, Yash Chopra was honored because they thought it was Yash Chopra film which made Switzerland as a destination
Put it
for
on the
the
map.
tourist. Like when I shot my film in Alaska, I was told by the American consulate people out here that the tourist traffic for Alaska, all these cruises had picked up big time because they saw Alaska for the first time.
This was Pukar, right?
Pukar, yeah.
Huh.
So, these things today have added value to a filmmaker. Now, if I'm planning a film of that scale, I would, for instance, even Bahubali today could have been made in England because the entire film was shot on sets. They could have put up sets out there and got a huge amount of subsidy. Like my new films that I'm planning, there are 2 films which I want to shoot in different countries. I'm just fishing to see which country offers me more subsidy. Okay, bhaiya, I don't want to depend on the box office and today you see most of these OTT platforms, they become a little tight where the buying spree is concerned. What they did during the COVID times was different and in today's times it's absolutely different. They have literally squeezed. Today there are not, many films which are sold, pre-sold. They wait for the film to be complete, see the film or sometimes even post-release. And then accordingly they offer the money. So it is not that this vertical is, but the subsidy is whether the film is a hit or a fail, you will get.
Yeah.
UP government has they have their own rules. Karnataka has it, and Jharkhand had it.
Gujarat, I think also.
Boni sir, if I can request something from the stalwarts of big ticket film production, I'll request you people. Just like Sony Pictures has Sony Picture Classics.
More like sarcasm and Miru.
No, darling, I swear to God, this is coming from my heart.
kind of
No, this is all big producers because you're winners, you're winning according to your model. Just like Sony Pictures has Sony Pictures Classics, if you could differentiate and maybe in some ways support films that, I know I'm not asking you to lose money. But, to also kind of be where content is different kinds of content.
But Don, have you done that? Have you approached, let's say, bigger film producers and said, can you fund a film of mine? Have you done that?
But a lot of people, they do it, maybe not enough to make it a movement or a parallel situation.
No, not really. But the people I have spoken to, I felt that the language itself was different. So immediately the criteria is different. Like we said earlier, what they are looking for is the box office hit, and but what I can offer is something different. So we don't come on the same page.
After some time, it doesn't work out.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Okay.
I also think that we should look beyond some market that we are forgetting is why aren't we looking at our movies going into the international mainstream diaspora? For example, Barroz to me is one of that movie.
Is that happening?
You see,
Your films are
today,
going
today,
theatrical distribution?
if a big ticket film releases, they release across the America.
No, I'm not
Across
talking
Europe
about
and US, you're getting
see,
thousands of screens.
Like Slumdog Millionaire started with, say, just about
but that was
40, 50 screens.
Yeah, but that
and
was
finally it grew.
But that was not an Indian Indian filmmaker.
No, we Telugu films get a huge release in Telugu Tamil films get huge release in Singapore, US, everywhere.
US,
As
Europe,
what?
But
as
then the
what?
ticket
New
rates-
Jersey, his
but is
fully
that-
only
no,
get
the
only
ticket
our
rates
films
for
running
Telugu
there.
That is
film-
for the that is for the we're talking about the diaspora audience.
Indian
like for
audience
example,
living
today
abroad.
a Korean film, a Chinese film, they find their markets across. Now, for example, I'm looking at barroz. I mean, I feel that it is something fantastic that we are so used to seeing 3D from outside inside, right?
It's also children's kind of, it's got a children's film
it's
space,
just,
no?
it's children and family audience, but it's a fantasy. But Mohanlal sir and Mr. Anthony have taken 3 years to shoot it because it's so difficult to shoot on a, Mr. Santhosh is the cinematographer. It's so difficult to shoot this. I mean, the other day I was sitting with Mr. Santhosh and seeing the amount of effort it has taken, even when we are now deciding what's the trailer to do. The trailer has to be, it has to be in a 3D format. How do you cut it? Even for the programming, it's so tough to make a 3D film. And now this film that has been made on 3D with the, an international audience is finding its place in the Western normal. I'm not even talking, of course, like you said, sir, everything reaches big monies. It makes even more than the Western films make, our Indian films make. But I'm just saying, taking every filmmaker wants to also have a wider audience. So from that point of it, I think we should also start elevating our movies to a point that, and for example, a movie like this may cut. He doesn't understand the business, and he's saying things like, the box office doesn't matter, and that may deter a financier if you say that to them.
No, I'm not saying that the box office doesn't matter, but what I'm, I couldn't complete earlier. What I am trying to do is to, slowly build a brand,
Correct.
of this particular kind of films. Instead of, like we said earlier, we are all looking at family audience. In my case, it's not the case. I'm not looking at the family audience. I'm offering this particular kind of films, and I think that there is an audience for that kind of film, because during the COVID, that is when my films were being discussed, and people go to see them through OTT, and I could see that there was audience for these films, and so I'm trying to build on that. I'm trying to bring in more audience. I think there are audience, but we don't have the right venue to reach them. There is no middle people to, there's no bridge between the audience and us. So
marketing, which is really the science, which is underplayed in
Again,
many
what
ways.
percentage of a film's cost goes into marketing is not a systemic
Not a
thing.
system-
It's an
Actually-
individual call by that producer.
No, and also to kind of see, for example, a person who watches a Payal Kapadia film and appreciates it should definitely be able to watch Don Palatra's Family, which is his last film, and appreciate it, because the film language is very similar. I'm not saying that they're the same film. You know what I mean, right? It's like, but for some reason, one film, because of certain, because it takes a certain route, it gets noticed more.
I mean, for example, a 12th fail. I mean, really, it isn't your big ticket film,
But it is a mainstream film.
It's a big win, yeah. It's also a big
it
win.
worked because of its content.
It's a content.
So the thing here is, I don't know, I just feel that we don't need to demarcate, the film.
But the audience does.
What we need to do is, I think the audience is ready for.
Do you think so?
The audience is ready for a good film, whether it is
But the thing is,
they're not
I'm
Audience is
asking,
also not one person or a homogeneous group.
when you
it's
say
different.
the audience does not demarcate,
He's saying
I'm
we are
saying
different audiences.
it's like his audience is different from
See,
his
it is
audience,
not
right?
that. I just feel that the message has to go out. Like you take a Labbar Pandal, it opened small, but it just went on.
Right.
It's still a mainstream language.
No, see that. So that means there needs to be a different method of exhibiting this, or a different way. Like we don't have a Khan in India, and unfortunately, we don't even have universities that fund. There are no filmmaking. Because typically because see, finally, independent films are very, very important for the fabric of filmmaking also. You can't do away, it is very important. There are many talents that come from there to mainstream, but that taste has to be developed, right? Like you have to give that
Very much so.
exposure, maybe in a shorter format, and you have to embrace social media in a way. I think mainstream cinema has managed to embrace social media, your
To a large
Instagram and
extent.
shorts, to a very large extent.
Embrace
They
is a
have
nice
a lot
word.
of money to invest there too.
No, social media is not expensive. It's only about your creativity and the kind of reels that you come up with and content, because it can go viral very quickly. You don't have to actually pump in money to make something go viral.
right now.
When you look back at Guntur Karam
that is
earlier
where I'm
this
coming
year,
from.
that was your biggest film this year.
Yeah.
But that was also the film that relatively underperformed.
No, box office it performed very,
Very well,
yeah.
but there was a
in one area,
perception-
a couple of areas it didn't. That doesn't matter actually.
Oh.
But on the overall front, we'll see how it performed on the revenue side.
Right. The thing is that with Telugu, right now, when you have a big star and a big production and a big director, that combination is still working.
It works in all languages, across all
not-
languages.
It works
Not just-
for the first week, for the first weekend. Definitely after that, content only works everywhere.
Yes.
Right.
But we'll pull out maximum 60 to 70% out on the 3-4 days on the first weekend itself.
And plus the other verticals like I spoke of,
Yeah.
OTT and satellite and audio. The audio
Before
market.
independent films would take satellite funding and then make the film.
Right.
Today it's all the money when you go to OTT and satellite players, which friends of
Yeah,
ours in the
actually, even
business
on
are
the
saying they don't have the funds because they're already overstretched
And
for buying
even
big
when
ticket
it comes
films.
to OTT, only, they want the films which work well on theaters
Yeah.
only.
Yeah.
That's
Now.
Now.
Yeah.
So because they also found their revenue model, right? They realize that not many people are logging in and watching it. So they again
Yeah,
want to
because they
increase
want to
their
increase
screen
their
time.
subscription.
Either they want to watch a good film, if that word of mouth comes out like that, or they want to watch a big hero film or a
Where
super
reviews
hit film
become
on
important.
OTT. only.
But if the cameras are shut, I just want to confess. Yaar, ye band kar do. Ho gaya.
No, then we'll
Just
save
wrap
this
it
for
up
the
and
end.
then we'll. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, अब जैसे सब बंद है ना भैया.
No. We'll
Then
do
just
this
wrap
at the
it,
end.
we'll just wrap it up and then
We'll
we'll
wrap it
switch
up.
off the camera.
So I think this is again one of those things where we can only
Let's wrap it
initiate
up
a
because I
discussion.
can hear people digging
Right,
some
right.
kind of
So that's what
renovation.
I'm trying to wrap up.
When I was young, we used to go to discotheques. Around 1:32, they used to put on the lights. Okay, it's time for you to go.
So we'll put on the lights now.
So the owner of this place has started,
So you went to last week also to discotheque, what, when you were young?
So again, these things can only initiate a discussion. We cannot really come to a conclusion in 1 hour. But thank you all for participating. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everybody. And Archana, I think now I'm like really.
No, you call for
are you a
another-
producer?
you call for
or are you
another
an
forum with
exhibitor? No,
exhibitors.
so
She's a one-woman industry. What are you
yeah,
going to
you're
do
like
now?
everything. So this is like you just have to become an actor, and then next year I can have an actors round table as well. So.
And
Nalla kadha irukku, ma'am. Kekkireenga.
interestingly, Boniji is also a pan-India producer because you
I've
have-
made films in
Look,
6
but he's
languages.
made, you see
No, but
that's
he spoke
Made
of
in Marathi,
Chandralekha.
Bengali, Tamil,
No,
Telugu.
he spoke of Chandralekha, but he is the almost so many films of his. Of course, he's made like smaller films like Wosa Din, but when you look at Ukki Rani Choron Ka Raja,
No,
when
but
you
you
look at
should
those
hear his
films,
stories of a time when he
Those
used to
are-
wait for
those
the
are-
report of a South film to see what the content is. And then to decide if it will work if we make it here.
Yeah.
And then to make it correctly and then
Yeah,
to do the
right.
business and then
No,
to
but
win.
Out of the 45 films
It's a
I've
long
made,
process.
65 are remakes of South
Southern
Indian
films,
films.
Even Kullir par ho raha.
So
No,
even
but
now
even I-
in my kitty, I've got almost 22 films remake rights.
wow.
He's got a massive IP catalogue.
so
And you see, हो गया बंद.
right.
हो गया.
So,
Let him
so
run
anyway,
with it. He will love it.
thanks everyone. Any closing thoughts?
No.
Okay, done. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
बंद कर दो
Okay,
भैया.
yeah, done. He wants to say something. Yeah. GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand, presents the Galatta Plus Mega Pan India Producers Roundtable 2024, powered by Q&Q Pharmacy. Quality healthcare at affordable price. Associate sponsors: Darling 2025 New Year deals, latest smartphones at lowest EMI, and Jensen & Nicholson Paints, Italian designer finishes by Jensen & Nicholson Paints, and location courtesy Mahati Wellness Center, Bandra, Mumbai.